going to make a start now on the electrics. First task is to basically remove everything. I'm going to try, I'm hoping that this will fit that way, so that the fins, which are behind here, can be exposed to the air to keep it cooler. I want to remove this which is going through that hole, so I've removed the wire from the guard switch. You can pass that through that hole and just undo that wire so that both of those can go through there, and the cover safety switch can be removed. I think if I undo these 4 screws, I think this will actually pass through the aperture, so I won't have to take any of these off of the front plate, which will save a bit of aggravation because all the connections can stay connected.
So that wasn't such a great idea, and actually it's unnecessary because there's only a few connections and they've all got connectors, so just that one and that one, and everything else should just pull through.
Yeah, so that was easy. Just that connector, those two, and the whole lot just pulls through. So this is just held on with a single bolt there, which is really not adequate, but we'll see if we can do something about that once we got it disassembled. And this unit is just held on by 2 screws there. Again, not really brilliant idea, but that's how it is. So this long wire, which has this connector on one end and that on the other end, that's just a flying lead at the moment, so we can disconnect that. This has got to be disconnected here because the red and black wires are potted in, so even though there's a connector on there, it's pointless taking that off. You might as well leave that all on and just disconnect that, and that whole unit then can be free of that, whatever that is. So it looks like there's plenty of room to mount that somewhere around there. I think I'm going to make a new back panel in aluminium rather than modify this one. 2 reasons. Number one, it's bloody hard to cut the steel, and also I want to get rid of these louvers and mount a 12-volt fan to keep the motor cool. The motors that I have don't have very big fans in them. They're fine when they're running at reasonable speeds, but if you're running them at low speeds, they can get really quite hot. So a little 12-volt fan, 120mm fan will fit nicely in there. By the time I've frigged around with this, it'll just be easier to make a new back panel. New back plate is now on, needs a little bit of tidying up, but I had some 2.5mm alley, which is nice and strong. So I just got to work out the best position for the fan and the electronics unit. And that's the new back panel. We've got a 120mm fan at the bottom. Not sure how I'm going to activate that. I could put a sensor in, a temperature sensor, but I'll probably just put a switch. The electronics unit, much better position rather than being inside there. It's just stupid at least now the heat can escape, and it just neatens the whole thing up. It's much better. So now I've got to work out how to fit the other bits in. I will probably put the power lead through the bottom there, and I might put a switch in for the fan. So this big chunk here, which, having spoken to my good friend David, we believe to be a sodding great resistor, which is basically when you push the stop button, is switched across to make the lathe stop rather than just run on. Clearly it doesn't work, but that's another issue. But anyway, this is the original mounting position. It's just one fixing at the back. That's it. No fixing at all at the front, which I'm not happy with. I can't get a fixing in there. There's a piece of folded metal there, and it'd be very tight to try and bolt that in situ. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move it round there. That means it doesn't overhang either side, and I actually can get a fixing in. This may be faulty because when I push the stop button, say the lathe does not stop immediately. It does if it's going at any speed, but if it's running slowly, it doesn't stop immediately, which is dangerous. Well, that was not the easiest hole to drill and tap, but at least it gives me the opportunity to use the Dremel extension, which is the first time in 10 years I think I've had this. There you go. Opportunities abound. So if you want to do something similar, you just be aware that the color coding for a 4-pin pulse width modulation fan, they differ from fan manufacturer to fan manufacturer, and contrary to convention, a red wire is not always positive 12 volts. In this case, the ground wire is black and 12 volts is yellow, and yellow is often used as the positive supply voltage in computers. So you only need the two. The other two are the sensor and the control wire, but you just connect the negative to the black and the positive to the yellow, and it works. And I'm just going to run it off a little 12 volt wall